Okay, question we often get asked. Which setup is better, the Arctic Oven Igloo or the Seek Outside 6-man Tipi? So today we're going to put that to the test. A range of challenges and the head-to-head Seek Outside 6-man Tipi versus the Arctic Oven Igloo. It's -40 here at Base Camp, Alaska. We just had some overflow come through the slough. So it's filling up and freezing as we speak. You can hear it cracking. So we're going to put the two to their test. Which setup would we want to take out at -40?
It's gonna be cold.
It is cold. I'm going to cover up as soon as we're done here. I'm not sure the answer because we got a floorless setup on the one hand with the Seek Outside, which weighs a lot less, or we got the the 4-season insulated aspect of the Arctic Oven. But it's heavy, it's big, so we're going to put them to the test.
Want to go to the middle of the yard?
Yeah.
Right about here. So, it's a large bag, so you can obviously see the downside if you're going backpacking. It's big. It's very big. It is not... It's full of tent. This bag is full of tent. I think... Quite a noticeable difference in size.
Don't want the mess.
Yeah. So, these are both hunters' tents, so they're both sold to the same market. But coldness. But obviously there are different groups of the market. This one is going to be more your on-foot backpacking hunter, and this is going to be your taking horses, dog sleds, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, big things. Yeah, airplane. Anyways, this is big, this is little. How do they compare as far as being comfortable in the winter? How quickly can you set them up? And how warm can they get? Obviously, everything about this is small. And everything about this is big and warm.
I mean, for what it is, the Arctic Oven Igloo is quite small. It's a 4-season wood stove heated tent. It's so quite compact. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's just big, bulky with that material. But arguably in its class with hunters and outdoors people is the Seek Outside Tipi and the titanium stove. Floorless, single wall. It's going to be an interesting head-to-head.
Yeah.
We're going to cover up and get setting up.
So, first issue I've discovered. The elastic in this pole does not work in the cold. Like, you can't even push it into the pole. So we're gonna have to figure that one out. That's fun. Alright, so I've been trying at this for quite some time now, getting this excess elastic to go into the pole.
Okay, tent is set up. Time to get in, get the wood stove set up and going. Had some technical issues with Liam's stove. Well, with the Arctic Oven set up. We talked about that. We gotta get the poles warmed up. That's the issue. So, we're gonna get the stove set up and started. Okay, shelter is up. I'm going to clear as much of the snow down to the base as I can, and we'll start getting the wood stove, the titanium SXL wood stove set up. I'll get the timer going on that. Bats are pretty cold, so I'll try to get as much of that as I can in the time lapse. But I'll have the timer going to show you later. -40, a little bit more heat by having the tent around me. Right now the door is open, so I have a bit more light. But it's practical. Okay, getting back to it. Stove is set up. Time to start.
So we had some major issues. The elastic in these poles.
Wow, that freezing is dramatic.
Wasn't elastic because out here, if you ever put a rubber band in the freezer, you know that as soon as you take it out and you try to stretch it, it just snaps. And it's not stretchy at all. Same thing with the elastic inside these poles. So let us know if you have a fix for that. That's a normal thing. And if not, that's a fatal flaw in otherwise fairly flawless design.
Yeah, so what would be, like in the field, what's the fix?
Well, you light a fire outside and you heat the poles up over the fire, which is extremely annoying to have to do.
Less annoying than no
Less annoying
tent.
than dying,
But yeah, you're in a situation at that point.
yeah.
You got no shelter.
So, in this scenario, there's two tents. We took these poles, put them in that tent, warmed them up, or used the stove, lit a fire in there, and warmed them up over that. In reality, we're lucky enough to be next to our house, so we can just bring them inside. That's what I did. I'm being as quick as I can. As soon as these strings get air on them, they immediately start to freeze up, just like our fingers, but even thinner fingers. There's one more. Yeah. No. I'm gonna do my best to make sure these don't separate. If they do, I might not be able to get them to come back together. Like I said, the idea is to, once we've gotten a couple on, is to push the pole through, never to pull it through. That'll just make it come apart, and that's super annoying. And in this case,
Just started the wood stove. We're doing a two timed simultaneous events. When we feel warm enough to take off a layer, and how fast we can get a tin cup to boil water from snow. Liam should have the advantage in the Arctic oven for this one, as he's got a floor and double wall insulation, and we'll see how the Seek Outside 6-man Tipi does with this SXL titanium stove. So far, the Seek Outside was the clear winner in the setup time. You gotta imagine that the Arctic oven is going to pull ahead in terms of heat up time and how fast Liam pulls first layer off. But you know, you never know.
Alright, I just started the fire. Let's see if I can get this place to heat up. Dad's timing our from starting the fire to take off jacket temperature. And I can say it's warmer in here than it is outside, even without any fire. My hand's out of its glove and it's not, well, it's not frozen solid. Normally it takes a couple seconds and it'll instantly be, you know, burning, but it's not quite. So without even any fire, it is significantly warmer in here than it is outside. Now the only test is to see how long it will take this to heat up the place. Also, I need to take this off. It's not supposed to be on there unless it's got water in it. All the little tiny bits of snow are evaporating. Starting to generate heat. You can definitely still see your breath. But it's comfortable. It's a comfortable temperature to have your hands off. Your hands out, I should say. This is what I had the fire starter in. Wood. And the boiler. If we were gonna stay here for any long amount of time, I'd get the boiler. My hands are steaming. Crazy things that happen when it's really cold is anything warm that's wet steams. So the boiler, you can fill it with snow, attach it to the side, and you always have boiling water with that spigot. And then we're also having a how quick can we boil water in our tin cup competition between the stoves. Okay, it's been 21 minutes. Doesn't seem like very long. 21 minutes. This is definitely starting to melt. The heat's starting to pump out. Took off the balaclava. And that's 20 minutes still since I struck the match.
Got some good heat coming off the stove now. It's definitely pumping it out. Not quite warm enough to pull off a layer, but
fire's pumping out good heat. I'm laying on the ground and I'm still quite comfortable with no gloves on. If I stood up, I am quite warm up here. Heat rises, drying the balaclava, see how long that takes. Most of it's still a little bit moisture in the front. But if you ever, there's lots of space to dry stuff up here. I'm 6 foot and I've got about an inch of space. I don't know if you can see me. Got about an inch of space in the middle.
apparently Liam's tent is at 80 degrees. We're not there yet. Let's let this in a better place. So I've got a little thermometer. It doesn't read below 32 degrees apparently. And it's not warmer than that in here yet. It's quite a bit colder than that in here, but the stove is warm. Feel heat emanating into the room, into the tent. Yeah, a lot less A lot less steam coming out as I speak. The stove is cranking it out.
It is 80 something degrees, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, 85 degrees Fahrenheit in here. And that's low. I don't even want to stand up. It's probably quite hot up there. So yeah, it's warm enough. This is bikini weather in here. Hear that, Dad? It's bikini weather in here. It's 90 degrees. 90 at 1 foot above the ground. It's cooking. Yeah, I feel for ya. Very handy to have this claymore. It is more than proficient for having a comfortable camp.
Okay, just getting time check on my phone now that we've got enough temperature to get my phone out, and I've got boil. So well, it'd be pretty difficult to keep this stove at a temperature while it's negative 36, negative 40 outside. Even the air temperature around it isn't particularly warm. I'm just not freezing, actively freezing. So I haven't come to a temperature where I wanted to peel anything off. Definitely not ready to start drying anything out in here. I did get a boil, so that was good. And I'm going to put some more wood on, see if we can get the fire a little more ripping. But it's having a hard time outdoing the, what is it? Gosh, it's almost 70, 72 degrees below the freezing point. And just a little stove. That's a lot to try to overcome.
News. I let the fire die down a little bit, but I realized something was wrong when it wasn't building back up. Now it's good, but it's because of this thing. I remember last time I used this tent, I removed it, and these grates, they just get clogged up. Up there. It's the spark arrestor, but it arrests more than the spark. It arrests the entire fireplace. So temperatures drop back down. See my breath. It's cold. But as soon as I took it off, I came around the front, set down the thing I used to take off the damper, and I heard whoosh. And now the heat's starting to pump back out. We're going to be warm in no time. 90 degrees, melted snow at 1 hour to full magnitude warmth.
Okay, in terms of the temperature challenge inside of our shelters, the seek outside brought water to boil pretty short amount of time, but never at this temperature have I felt where I wouldn't want to have my cold weather gear for my sleeping setup. Of course, you should always be prepared for the worst, so I would have that gear anyway, but at no point would I be thinking, gosh, this is overkill because I got a hot stove. Not really a fair challenge to the Seek Outside shelter or to this SXL titanium stove, because it is presently about 70 degrees below the freezing point, so it's negative 36 degrees Fahrenheit, or colder. I think it's dropped a few more degrees. So that's a challenge that this shelter in this environment and stove is just not going to be able to stack up against. Yes, I'm getting some heat. I can cook on this. So it's doing the job of a stove. And if we had, gosh, if it was 0 degrees, I think it'd be a very different dynamic, but it's not. And I'm still looking for a bit more warmth. Great setup, do love it, and it certainly goes with me on the bulk of my trips. You can't beat it for weight, for durability, for wind protection. The thing is solid, and it is lightweight. These conditions are going to top just about anything to stay warm. I think the Arctic Oven has the advantage here.